comes to something like God, I heavily believe that you shouldn't be forced into it at any age. I believe it's something you have to find yourself if you choose to find it for yourself. If you don't, it's okay. Okay, let me ask you this. What was the day Jesus entered your life? What was that day like?
Where'd all of this come from?
Where'd all of this come from? Well, I guess there are different beliefs, but I primarily focus on evolution, so everything that at least took place happened over a course of time. Organisms developed in such a way that we're presenting what we are.
Everything happened by accident, you're saying?
Well, I'm actually very debated on this because I don't believe it happened on accident. I believe it happened off of years of learning. Every single piece of evidence we have points towards a way of learning. Everything adapts to a different outcome.
So does evolution not have to start with something?
No, yeah, evolution does have to start with something.
So if I take you back the day before evolution, who put everything that you need for your worldview to work? Who put it all here?
Well, nobody put anything. It's called evolution for a reason. Like, even if you take an empty glass of water and you put it in the sunlight, eventually bacteria does develop.
I'm following you, but who gave you the glass of water?
Who gave me the glass of water? Well, water was there beforehand. Like, we have a lot of planets that have water already right now.
Ryan confesses his belief in evolution. Now, so much could be said about what Ryan said, but with the time we have here, I first want to refer you to our friends and ministry partners at AnswersInGenesis.org. AIG is our go-to resource for all things related to science and the Bible, and I encourage them to become yours too. But as an evolutionist, Ryan likely also believes in some version of a theory called the Big Bang, the moment 13.8 billion years ago when the universe supposedly began as a tiny, dense fireball that exploded. Now, while we don't believe that's true, nor do we believe that the Big Bang fits with the Bible's account of creation, Randy's totally right and rational to ask Ryan, where did the original matter come from before the big explosion? In the New Answers Book 2 from Answers in Genesis, Dr. Jason Lisle cites several scientific problems with the Big Bang and then concludes with these thoughts. These scientific problems are symptomatic of the underlying incorrect worldview. The Big Bang erroneously assumes that the universe was not supernaturally created, but that it came about by natural processes billions of years ago. However, reality does not line up with this notion. Biblical creation explains the evidence in a much more straightforward way, without the ubiquitous speculations prevalent in secular models. But ultimately, the best reason to reject the Big Bang is that it goes against what the creator of the universe himself has taught. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now, why does Randy believe God's word to be true, but Ryan does not? Only because God gave his gift of faith to Randy when he heard and responded to his gospel. And we hope he'll give that gift to Ryan when he hears the gospel too. But in the meantime, let's listen to whether Ryan's answer to big question 2 is consistent with his beliefs as an evolutionist.
Why are you here? Is there a meaning?
I think the meaning of life is what we make of it. I don't believe that we were pre-programmed with the meaning. I don't believe we were pre-programmed to do anything, but we have one life. We might as well make the most of it. We might as well give meaning to our life. It's not as simple as that.
I sincerely commend Ryan for trying to be consistent in his beliefs as an evolutionist, but it's my understanding that consistent evolutionists are actually materialists, and by embracing materialism, they actually destroy the possibility of meaning because meaning cannot come from matter. Yet, Ryan still casually says the meaning of life is what we make of it. Now, I'm no scientist, but blind belief in a purely material universe really begs the question as to how any meaning, which is immaterial, can come from matter, which is material. Like, let's say we put 2 glasses of water in the sunlight, as Ryan mentioned, and let them develop bacteria. Would it occur to any rational person to ask which bacteria is bubbling right and which bacteria is bubbling wrong? No, because morality and meaning are immaterial, not material, and bacteria can't bubble meaning. So sadly, by embracing materialism, a consistent evolutionist actually destroys the possibility of meaning. But there's still the hope that when Randy asks Ryan big question 3 and then shares the gospel with him, God will give his gift of saving faith to Ryan, and he'll experience firsthand the meaning, peace, and purpose found only in a relationship with God through Christ.
When you step off at the end of life, where are you going?
Where am I going? That's a tough question. That's actually a Billie Eilish song. But where am I going? I'll tell you when I know.
I'm not sure you will. But does it, not knowing, does that concern you?
See, I was raised around very religious parents. That's not the issue for me. But when it comes to something like God, I heavily believe that you shouldn't be forced into it at any age. I believe it's something you have to find yourself if you choose to find it for yourself. If you don't, it's okay. Okay, let me ask you this. What was the day Jesus entered your life? What was that day like?
I was 39 years old.
You were 39 years old when Jesus entered your life. And what was that moment like? What happened?
He clearly revealed himself to me through a 4.5-year-old little girl. My daughter. My marriage was over. My wife had recently got connected with some Bible folks. She invited me to a conference, and I flippantly went, yeah, I'll go, and sneak back out and then go have a couple of drinks. And I ended up talking to a guy who was a year older than me. He was like a young John MacArthur. He was a football player. He was a pastor. He was brilliant, and he answered all my questions. And by the time he finished his doctorate in evolutionary science, he was a card-carrying, flag-waving, Bible-reading, born-again Christian. He said, everything points to a creator. Everything. And this is a PhD in evolutionary science. And he annihilated every single one of my questions that I had. And part of my story is, my marriage was done. And now my marriage is better than it ever was. We didn't get divorced. My kids were raised in the faith to understand that there's a God who loves them, right? And so he changed the whole trajectory of our lives in that one single moment. And have I had other moments like that? Yeah, where God clearly shows up. That the only answer is supernatural. So do I hang on to that? Absolutely. What I used to live for and do in my life before Christ showed up, was a whole lot different than it is now. A whole lot different than it is now. Yeah, did he change my life? Yeah, he absolutely did. He did. And that's a great question. I haven't had somebody ask me that in a long time.
Ryan asks Randy, what was the day like when Jesus entered your life? That day was the turning point of Randy's forever. And that question was the turning point in his conversation with Ryan too. So, Christian, if you were asked that question, are you prepared to share your testimony? Because you need to be. And here are the questions we equip Christians to ask and answer to testify. 1, what was your life like before you were saved? 2, how and when did God save you to himself? And 3, how has your life changed since you've been saved? Every Christian should prepare and share their testimony for at least 3 reasons. Reason 1, it's biblical. Reason 2, it's really hard for skeptics to argue with personal experience. And reason 3, everyone loves hearing a real glory story, and salvation stories are the most glorious of all. Now, Randy left Ryan with 3 free resources for continuing to converse and connect with our ministry. A booklet answering the 3 big questions from the Bible, a Go Teams Media contact card, and a partner church connection card, so he can connect with us or a faithful local church to continue the conversation if he so chooses. In closing, if you want to watch that complete uncut conversation, you can find that in the description below. Well, thanks again for watching Go Teams Media. If you'd personally like to continue conversing and connecting with us, go to goteamsmedia.com. I'm Corey McKenna, the Equipping Evangelist, and you've been on the go with Go Teams Media.